Hey, what's up guys, Trunkoso here, and welcome back to another video on this fine channel, and today I have something very special, a zombies video. Yeah, so for some reason I haven't actually made a zombies video yet in Cold War, even though the game has been out for over a month now. I played some zombies at the beginning of the game, but because most of my friends were playing multiplayer, I just kind of got lost in the world of skill-based matchmaking, Nuketown 24/7, and double XP and all that. But after playing it for a while, I admittedly got really sick of all the BS in the multiplayer, including the now infamous skill-based matchmaking that's been a hot topic in the community, and it's been plaguing the game since launch day. And well, I decided I needed a break, right? So naturally I traveled to the world of zombies, which is probably the source of, I'd say, 95% of my hours played in previous Call of Duty games. And just like its predecessors, Cold War Zombies has actually managed to keep me hooked, at least for now. So Cold War Zombies is actually pretty interesting because it feels very different compared to old Black Ops games, but it still somehow manages to feel like it belongs even with all the new changes. Like, for example, pack punching your guns is like a lot more complicated in this game. Like, not terribly, but basically you just have to upgrade it a few more times, then upgrade it again into Workbench to make it like maximum capacity. Another thing you can do is you can call in kill streaks like the chopper gunner if you're in a bit of a jam, which I know that sounds really out of place, but it is a thing. So, and there's also medals that'll pop up on your screen if you do things like get 10 zombie kills with one shot. So in that sense, it definitely feels like multiplayer at times, but oddly enough, it actually feels like it isn't out of place, at least for me. But there's obviously been a lot more additions and changes to zombies in this game, but today I actually wanted to focus more on arguably one of the most integral aspects to zombies, and that's the perks themselves. And more specifically, I'm going to be ranking them all from worst to best. Now, do keep in mind that at the time I'm recording this video, there's only 6 perks in the game, and I don't think that any of them are actually bad perks because they all have their uses and they all can be upgraded to have extra abilities. And on top of that, there isn't actually a limit to the amount of perks you can have in Cold War unlike previous zombie games, so you're never forced to make tough decisions when it comes to buying your perks. You can have all 6 if you want. So the way I ranked the perks was based off of how much I thought they were useful to the player, or how essential they were to have. Some perks are high value, and others are low value, but just because a perk is low value doesn't mean it's actually a bad perk. I just feel like it's not as valuable compared to another. And again, because you can have all 6 perks, you don't need to make any sacrifices, but anyways guys, without further ado, let's get into the list. Alright, so coming in at number 6 is the new perk Elemental Pop. So Elemental Pop is an interesting perk in my eyes because it can be very helpful but also very unhelpful. So assuming you're just playing with a friend or going for a high round, Elemental Pop is probably not a bad idea to pick up because what it does is it allows for a chance that one of your bullets fired will be given a random ammo mod that will affect the zombies. And these include Dead Wire, Brain Rot, Napalm Burst, and Cyber Freeze. And while this sounds good in theory, there's 2 problems with it. Number 1 is that the base version will only allow the lowest tier ability for the ammo mod to be used. Or in other words, every time Elemental Pop activates, you'll only be given the weakest effect of an ammo mod, so sometimes you may not be able to get any kills when the perk activates. The second problem I have with Elemental Pop is that it slows game progression, especially if you're just trying to get to a high round, you're trying to end a round quickly, or you're just working on your Dark Ether camo challenges like the critical shots or just getting pack-a-punch kills. So every time an ammo mod is activated, it just slows down the train. And all the kills, let's say if they're associated with brain rot, they won't count towards your challenge, so obviously that's going to slow down that challenge a lot. And because you have to get 2,500 kills for the headshots and the pack-a-punch kills and all that, it's just going to take significantly longer to do that, so that's another reason I don't typically buy this perk often. Now to be fair, once you've leveled up Elemental Pop and all 4 of the ammo mods to tier 3, I'd say the perk is actually noticeably better because tier 3 ability for the perk allows the ammo mods to use their maximum tier ability, so you're actually going to be getting a ton of kills, especially if you have Brain Rot or Dead Wire or something like that. So my advice would be not to buy this perk unless you have it maxed out along with all the ammo mods. And if you're going for Dark Ether, it's probably just better to pass on this perk, but nonetheless, Elemental Pop in my eyes is still a good perk, and it does have a use. So coming in at the number 5 spot is Quick Revive. So Quick Revive in solo Cold War more or less mirrors the co-op version of the original perk in past Black Ops games and in World at War. And I say this because in solo the perk, despite its name, doesn't actually revive you when you go down. Yeah, in Cold War the self-revive kit does this for you and effectively replaces Quick Revive's main solo ability. You'll always spawn in with a revive kit when you're playing solo, and upon going down you'll lose it after you revive yourself, and the only way to get it back is by crafting it at the workbench and spawn, or by getting lucky and having it dropped by a zombie. So because of the existence of the self-revive kit, Quick Revive is pretty much completely useless in solo. So why did I rank it above Elemental Pop, you may ask? Well, it's because the perk has a tier 2 ability that saves it from being dead last, and it's actually very crucial to have in my opinion. That ability is faster health regeneration. So when you get hit by a zombie like 4 or 5 times and you're red screened, you're at very low health, you're very vulnerable to downing, and especially in Cold War where the zombies are cracked on higher rounds and do more damage. So when you're red screened, it'll take about 5 or 6 seconds normally until you start to heal, which doesn't sound like much, but in zombies that's a pretty long time. So quick revives, faster health regen ability is so great because it cuts that time in half and allows you to heal quicker when you're running around or when you're in a tough spot. And it's saved me so many times already, which is why I always buy quick revive now because of that. However, without that ability, the perk is completely useless unless you're playing co-op. So if you're a solo player, avoid quick revive unless you have the perk leveled up to at least tier 2. Once you have that ability unlocked, I recommend buying it every game you can. It's not going to be one of the first perks you're going to want to pick up, but once you're set up, you have a lot of points, quick revive is great to have in your perk arsenal. Alright, coming in at number 4 we have Speed Cola, or as the OG Call of Duty players may also know is Sleight of Hand. Yes, a classic. So, I know most of you watching have played zombies before and already know what this perk does, but for the newer players I'll quickly explain. Speed Cola makes you reload faster. Yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know. Now, I think in this game it also makes you switch weapons faster once you have it at tier 3, but I might be wrong. But really, the most iconic ability of this perk is just the quicker reloads. Now, I like to be efficient when I play zombies and really any other video game for that matter, so for me, this perk is essential for my own sanity, but I will admit that in Cold War Zombies, I feel like it's not as necessary to have compared to having in Black Ops 1 or Black Ops 2 zombies. The reason I say this is because you can actually choose the gun you want to use in the creative class, and if you have the extended speed mag attachments for a gun, then you already have a way to reload more efficiently. And if you buy a gun off the wall or from the mystery box, there's a good chance that said gun will have a speed mag attachment on it. And better yet, you can actually randomize the attachments on a gun at the workstation until you have fast mags. This is the main reason why I don't think Speed Cola is a crucial perk in this game, and hence why I put it at the 4th spot. But either way, I always buy it because if you pair this perk with the fast mag attachment in your gun, your reloads will always become instantaneous, which is always awesome to have. And I'd always recommend buying Speed Cola whenever you can because it's always helpful in most situations to have, and it literally speeds up your life like the perk jingle says. Now, it was hard for me to put it in the 4th spot, but when I thought about it at the list again, I realized that it belongs here because the 3 perks ahead of Speed Cola feel more crucial to have in my opinion. But still, Speed Cola is an amazing perk, and you should always be picking it up whenever you can. Coming in is the 3rd best perk in this game so far. I'm going to go with Stamina. So I'd say at this point in the video we've made it to the crucial perks, or in other words the perks that you should absolutely always have. So Stamina Up is another classic perk returning from past zombie titles, and I'm so happy it's back once again because just like Speed Cola, this is a perk I've always liked to run. Did you get it because Stamina Up makes you run longer? Yeah, never mind, guys. I'm sorry. But yeah, Stamina Up allows you to sprint longer and at a slightly faster speed, so this means it's excellent for training, it's excellent for dodging zombie attacks, and it's excellent for running around the map at a faster speed, which also makes it a very efficient perk, just like Speed Cola. So another great thing I like about Stamina Up is that in this game when you upgrade its skills, you'll gain a faster backpedaling speed, which is good for knifing and for shooting while walking backwards. You also won't be able to take any fall damage, and finally you can walk while ADSing at a faster speed. These abilities really come in handy when you're trying to complete some of the Dark Ether camo challenges as well. But Stamina Up's always been a great perk to have in zombies in every game it's been in, and Cold War is no exception, plus there's no downsides to the perk itself. So I'd always recommend buying Stamina Up when you can. Trust me, you won't regret it. Oh man, that's such a good jingle. But yeah guys, I know if you're a zombies veteran and you haven't played Cold War yet, you may be scratching your head right now. Trunk, you're putting Deadshot Daiquiri in the number 2 spot? Yeah, I actually am, and for good reason. So, for those of you who never played old Call of Duties, I'll just quickly explain what I meant by that. So, Deadshot's been in zombies for a very long time, and throughout that time it's always been seen typically as a useless perk by many because originally the perk just made you slightly more accurate with your shots by reducing your hip-fire spread, and gave you a little bit of aim assist if you're playing on console. So if you're on console it was actually kind of helpful, but if you played on PC it was pretty much pointless. And while the perk itself, to be fair, wasn't really that bad, it was always just that perk that sat on the shelf because most people, including myself, wouldn't really buy it because of its lacking of significant abilities. The only time I would find myself getting it would be if I was playing a map where I could get multiple perks like Origins, but even then it wasn't really common for me to go after Deadshot. However, in Cold War, Treyarch did a complete 180 and they actually made Deadshot Daiquiri go from being one of the most underwhelming perks in zombies to being one of the best. And really that's something you don't see that often. So what they did was they made it so now whenever you have Deadshot, you not only will get a reduced hipfire spread, but now you'll deal 100% more critical damage to a zombie if it's at full health and if you get headshots. And your gun's armor penetration against the armored zombies, which come in around the late teen rounds, early 20s, will be increased by 50%. So not only does this mean you're going to be getting more headshots and thus completing Dark Ether challenges quicker, but you can potentially give 100% more damage to a zombie. And if you want to take it even a step further, you can actually level up different weapon classes, so that way every gun in the game that fires bullets will have a slight armor and critical damage boost. So in a way, I think this kind of mirrors Double Tap 2.0 from previous titles to an extent, but in my opinion, the best part about Deadshot in this game is that it pretty much makes any gun you're using significantly better, and allows for a lot of the guns in this game to be viable even on high rounds, like round 50. I could only imagine how devastating this perk would be if they had to double tap to the game down the line. I think it would literally be one of, if not the most lethal perk combinations in zombies that we've seen. But even as it is now, if you're planning on using any bullet weapons to kill zombies on mid to high rounds, make sure you have Deadshot Daiquiri equipped. And again, I'm so excited to be able to say that Deadshot for the first time since I think 2011 when Call of the Dead came out is actually a good choice to have in your perk arsenal. And coming in, guys, at the #1 spot and is the best perk in Cold War Zombies, we have good old Juggernog. Now, if you've played zombies before, I'm sure you already knew this was coming, because Juggernog is hands down the most important perk to have in zombies. And for those of you new players who, again, may not be familiar with the game mode, Juggernog gives you more health, which means it will take more hits from enemies to down you. In this game, without Jug, you start out at the standard 150 health, but with the perk maxed out to tier 3, you get 250 health. Now, I know that may not sound like that big of a boost, but it really is. It really, really is. Zombies in Cold War, like I mentioned earlier, are cracked on high rounds, and that basically means that as soon as you get past the 20s and enter into the 30s, the zombies will begin to sprint at very high speeds, and they'll start doing a lot more damage to you compared to on a lower round. However, it's not just the zombies you have to watch out for, but you also have to pay attention to the megatons and to the plague hounds that'll inevitably be running around, as they're both dangerous enemies as well, and they can really screw you over if you make a bad decision or if you get caught in a tough spot. Basically, if you don't have Juggernog on a high round, but really any round for that matter, you're pretty much guaranteeing that you're going to go down at one point or another. So, without a doubt, Jug is the best perk to have in zombies, and it comes in at the #1 spot for a good reason. Alright guys, so with that said, if you could do me a favor and leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, it would be greatly appreciated. And also, if you would have ranked these perks differently, please feel free to drop your list in the comments section, as there's a chance I might have missed something important, or maybe my list just doesn't fit your playstyle, and you might have ranked them differently based on the way you play zombies, but I'm really interested to hear your thoughts. Also, with each DLC that'll come out, I'm sure there will be even more perks added to the game, and Treyarch even confirmed this when they made a tweet revealing the infamous Tombstone Soda from Black Ops 2. So it'll be very interesting to see what that perk will play like in Cold War, and I'll probably make a video on it when it drops, but until then we're just going to have to wait for more maps to come out. Anyways guys, until next time, this is Trunkoso signing off. Adios.